Kate and David finish off Season 4 by talking about some of their favorite castles in Hyrule.
Welcome to another Zelda podcast, and who is doing the intro right now? Who is that?
I don't know, Kate May. How are you?
It's me.
That was quite an intro.
You know, I do my best, but hi.
That's the way to end a season right there.
I mean, yeah. To start an episode, to end a season. So, hi, I'm Kate May. Hello. I have David Geisler here, who's always here, but then I'm just also here today, and I decided to be in charge today. So
I asked you to be in charge.
That's true.
I said, Kate, take the reins.
And I said, oh, okay.
You said, I won't do it. I can't do it. I won't do it. Okay. Hi, I'm Kate May. I'm just joking.
That's usually how it goes. I'm usually, like, we were talking before this episode about the difference between our podcast voice and our actual voice. So
oh, yeah.
I might be kind of like this normally, but then I don't know the podcast. It's Kate Day. It's the radio version of me.
The Ginksy has kind of like a work meeting voice.
Oh, we all do.
We all do?
Yes,
okay. I don't know, because I'm not really... I have like production meetings, but it's not at the level of what you people are experiencing. I think, what are you having, like 5-6 meetings a day, that kind of thing?
Hopefully not that many, but sometimes yes.
Yeah. I'm like 5-6 a week. I'm like maybe one or two a night, you know, so I have a lot of time to recalibrate. Mm-hmm. But sometimes Ginksy will come straight off of, 10 hours of meetings, like 10 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And we go straight into dinner, and I can tell that she's still got I don't even know what the affectation is, but there's like something
work voice.
There. And I'm like, I just got to give her 30 minutes. I just got to give her 30 minutes and it'll come back around.
Bill's voice gets deeper. He's like, I'm Bill. That's my impression of
when he's in a meeting?
But yeah, of my husband, yes. His voice gets deeper. Mine gets higher, I think.
Well, you just did it.
Yeah, right. I don't think about it, though. I don't think about it. It just happens.
Higher, I think, because that's what I do.
Anyway, how are you, Dave?
I'm well. I'm good. I'm excited. We're in town. The four of us are going to be we're going to have a little bit of a double date tonight.
Yes, we are.
After the show.
We actually hang out in real life sometimes too.
Well, now that the world's slowly coming back together, it is nice to do.
Yes, absolutely. We went on a double date immediately before the pandemic. Like, I think it was days before the world shut down.
So I know this. I think I spoke to this for the season 3 finale real quick. Ginksy and I met with you and Bill here in Milwaukee, and the drive back is when we were getting news reports on our phones about at least Chicago. Chicago is shutting down. Like, you cannot leave your house. So we were able to get back into the city, and then it was like, you can't leave or whatever.
Yeah, it was the last thing I think we did before.
Like, socially.
I think it was like the weekend before my office also shut down.
I see.
And now here we are on the other side, quote unquote. We're going to put asterisks.
We'll see, and hopefully.
By that. Yeah, but we're back together.
Cool. Yeah, so we're going to some fancy hip little restaurant that you and Bill picked out tonight, and I can't wait. I think that's going to be tons of fun.
Yeah, so let's get through this episode so I can eat some calamari. Please, I need something fried in my belly.
Kate, what are we talking about?
Today, other than calamari, we are talking about Hyrule castles in terms of how, the different ways that the castle has appeared throughout the many games, and how it's important to the games, and maybe what your favorite one is, and all of that. And then maybe a little bit about Castle Town as like a little postscript at the end.
Well, I don't mind talking about this. Originally, this was going to be a like recurring locations episode when we were pitching it a few months ago.
Yes.
And you texted me only about a week ago, and you said, oh my gosh, David, I think this is like going to be a 2-parter because I already have a ton of notes just on Hyrule Castle.
Right.
And a little spark went off in my brain, and I thought, wait a second. That's a way better season finale than just like recurring areas. Recurring areas is cool, and we'll return to that concept. But I was like, you got to finish the season with Hyrule Castle. This is great.
I can't believe we haven't done it yet. Like,
we kind of did like favorite opening areas in season 2, which felt like the beginning, the opposite of this. And we kind of did Ganon at the end of season 1, but I can't believe we've never thought of this yet.
I know.
They had to come to us organically.
It's perfect. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of the episode, why don't we have a couple listener feedback items, I think?
Yeah, I have a few quick ones here because I know we have plenty to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
Over on Instagram, Nathan Sinopidis messaged us and said, I think he sent us a DM actually. He said, "Hey guys, I've only recently found your podcast. Yes, I know, I'm pretty late. Better late than never." Smiley face. That's for sure. That's cool. All are welcome. I'm sorry. That's me saying it. That's not his. But then he continues. It's good to hear two passionate people nerd out to a franchise I have loved since I got my first Zelda game back in '87 when I was just 6 years old. No. I'm a huge fan of the series and now can listen to you two to dissect everything Zelda related while at work. Keep up the great work. I'll catch up soon enough. Laughy cry and an okey doke emoji.
I don't know if I could I can't listen to a podcast at work because I'd get too distracted. I'd either have to focus on work or the podcast, but more power to you if you can focus on both.
For me, it's a very simple decision. If I am literally dealing with text, if I'm like writing something, I can't listen to a podcast because it kind of blends.
Yeah.
I have to go music, and I probably go music without lyrics.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. And sometimes it's a Zelda playlist.
Same.
By the way, this is a nice opportunity that it was a long time ago, it was months ago, but we have 3, at least Apple Music Zelda playlists that I built on Apple Music, and you can access them from our website.
Cool.
If you go to anotherzeldapodcast.com and you go to the fun stuff tab, they're there, and you can subscribe to them if you like. I have 3, Kate. I know you have Apple Music, I think, right?
I do.
I know a lot of people use Spotify as well. Maybe I'll build something over there. But I have one that's just called, Zelda from a certain point of view, and it's just a bunch of Zelda covers. But then I have one that maybe you'd be interested in. I'm serious. I think I even shared this with Mallory Kuhn, this one. I call it The Wind Worker. And it's all it's all kind of like slightly jazzy Zelda music, and it's really good for flow. It's awesome. And then my last one that I actually bike to often is, let me see if I can remember it. I tried to put as many Zelda little puns in there as I could. It's something like, it's time to work out like a hero something, but it's a workout playlist, and
Nice.
it's awesome, and it's a lot of hardcore remixes. So playlist working, that's a thing. Nathan, thank you so much. I'm just so psyched. I'm just happy. I'm just we got through season 3 was so nuts. Season 4, it was we were bringing the family back together, and it's just a good feeling. So I'm really tremendously excited right now.
Aww.
But Nathan, thank you so much for messaging us.
Yes, thank you.
Over on Instagram, it's Another Zelda Podcast on Instagram. And I'll just do one more. Let's see, I've got it queued up. Okay. Oh, this is a review over on iTunes, it looks like. And this is Chris334_. And Chris334_ says, David and Kate, the perfect pair for podcasting.
Aw.
And they make Zelda a way more interesting game for me.
Wow.
But I would love it if you... Oh, this is interesting. But I would love it if you had the guests and you guys like you did in the Water Dungeons Summit. I think they're meaning the Water Dungeons episode that we did at the Video Game Summit 2019, maybe?
Yeah. Yep.
Thanks for the great podcast. Super smiley emoji, super smiley emoji. I don't know what it's actually called, but it's the big teeth one. The podcast should not be a secret to everybody because it is great. Also, this may be a little late, but in Hey Listen Volume 2, Dan's comment was accidentally deleted. Just wanted to say 2. I'll have to look into that.
Okay.
Accidentally deleted.
We were.
Maybe it was his comment. I don't know.
We were, though, talking about getting us all together. We were just literally talking about that not long ago, how we want to have a round table. Maybe someday we can work that out.
The thing that's nuts is that all the blog writers now, Andy lives in Texas, the Coons live in Michigan. Of course, Celeste is down in Louisiana, and I think our closest blog writer is probably Shane. He's just about an hour. He's up in Sheboygan, I think. Is that what it is? No, Manitowoc.
Yep.
Manitowoc. He's kind of close to us, but it's like a real endeavor to get everyone together physically in the same way.
Right.
But I think if we find reasons, maybe it's another Video Game Summit reason. That was kind of nice. Celeste and Steph came down for that one, and we were able to kind of get together for that. But maybe if we find some convention reason or something. I mean, I have a fantasy that I'll be able to offer the land that we have in Kentucky as a hub to record some episodes for people someday.
Yeah,
but yes,
for sure.
It would be fun to get more voices. As far as so I mean, I guess you're kind of speaking to the Video Game Summit thing. How Chris was asking for more guests. What I'm hearing there is because we have, what's interesting is in the last season or two, we have had quote unquote guests by all of these other blog writers and stuff coming in and helping with the show. But I think what I'm hearing is like the multiple voices episodes where it's more than just two people. I'm pretty excited about another Zelda podcast being just two people. I love it when it's like just a conversation, but I think roundtable episodes could be cool too.
Yeah, it was like a little special thing.
Well, now that we're starting to get a handle on the quiz episodes, maybe the roundtable episodes are the next thing we try to do. Cool. I don't know.
I think it's definitely in the realm of possibility at some point.
Do you want to go like game order with Hyrule Castles? What's your plan for this episode?
I think the order that I have is it release order?
I mean, I have the encyclopedia open right now, and I have all the games right in front of me. We can
do it.
You want to go in order?
Yeah. Can I do an introduction and just read straight from the encyclopedia to like introduce our
Yes,
topic?
please. I'm fine with it. We're both mega nerding right now. We both literally have our encyclopedias in front of us. We're very excited about this fact.
Yes.
And
that's my nerd
I'm
voice.
just setting the scene. I think you need to do a whole show just in your nerd voice.
I will not.
Not this show, but maybe a different podcast altogether.
No, now I'm going to do I'm reading from a book voice. Are you ready?
Okay.
Hyrule Castle.
Oh, I see.
A noble and beautiful place.
Oh, I see.
Palace. I already messed up.
Nailed it.
Palace.
I mean, no place works good too.
It's a place. It's a palace.
Uh-huh.
High white outer walls. A tended garden. Flowing red carpets with gold trim. Brilliant stained glass. Hyrule Castle, home of the royal family and the seat of Hyrule's government, is the most beautiful place in the kingdom. Over multiple eras, it has stood at the heart of Hyrule, a beacon of strength and residence of Princess Zelda. It's very dramatic.
You got
I love
this.
it. However,
Oh.
Hyrule Castle's fortifications make it especially dangerous in the hands of its enemies. In multiple eras, the castle has been captured by hostile forces, rendering it a formidable dungeon and casting a shadow on the light the castle represents. Time and time again, it has fallen to Link to reclaim the great castle's labyrinthine halls.
Whoa.
I know, from those who seek ultimate power over Hyrule and its people.
I'm there.
Are you
Emotionally,
transported?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was visualizing epic battles and all the rest. That reading did actually bring up a great example. As I was thinking about Hyrule Castles, I was like, a lot of times Hyrule Castles are also like Ganon's castle. You know what I mean?
Yes.
In one way or another. I'm sure we'll get into it.
He's super jelly that there's a castle and he wants it for himself.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. I don't know. Do you want to talk about Hyrule Castle in the first Legend of Zelda?
Sure. Well,
it's there.
Is it there? I was going to say.
I mean, it's kind of not. It's like Ganon's Keep. There really kind of isn't a castle. It's, you know what I mean?
Right. So my first iteration that I would have talked about is Link to the Past. So game number 3. But if you want to make a go with me here, like an honorable mention in the first one.
No, I don't know. Because I think it's really, I don't even think you enter. No, you know what? I don't think it is a castle. I don't think it's even Hyrule Castle because unless he takes it over, but you don't enter it through a castle. The overworld, the graphics are not a castle. You kind of go into a weird mouth. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Yeah.
Weird mouth.
Yeah. All right. I'm cool skipping to Link to the Past.
Okay. So in Link to the Past, this is obviously where it all begins, right? So you...
It literally begins there. Yeah, you're right.
Yes. So you're there. You have to find your uncle, which is always funny and interesting to me because, like, where is this uncle ever again? Is he in?
I think we learned in our season 2 finale, the Links to the Past kind of review episode, I think we learned that the uncle, I mean, you assume that he dies, that he perishes, but he does show up, we found in the end credits.
No, but
So,
I mean, other than that.
Oh, other than that, nothing.
Yeah. It's just very odd that,
He's healing somewhere in a bush or something. I don't know.
It's odd that, Link is so alone family-wise. I mean, that's kind of like a theme of the game is he's by himself. He's an outcast. He's within a group, but then he's also separate from the group. So it's just very weird that in this one, it's like, uncle, and then never again. But anywho.
You're right, though.
Yeah.
A Link to the Past does have a bit of a backstory of which I don't know too much about. I'm currently reading the Twilight Princess manga, and it gives you a lot of like pre-Ordon Village Link information.
Okay.
I would highly recommend you finding it and reading it. It's awesome. But in Ocarina, he has a family. He has a mom and a dad. But you're right. By the time the game starts, he's alone and a little bit lost. Mm-hmm. I wonder why they have the uncle in Link to the Past.
I don't know. 'Tis a mystery.
He's like, stay here. I'll go take care of this.
Yeah.
And then Link jumps out of the bed immediately.
Yes. And so that's where the game begins, like we said. And so he finds his uncle, then he has to go save Zelda. And then this is also the place of the like final eventually confrontation, because you also run into Aghanim in the beginning. Right?
Like, it's a bit of the Ocarina of Time thing. It's kind of like after 3 dungeons.
Yeah. And then this is where the final confrontation is with Aghanim as well. I don't have too many notes for Link to the Past, right, just because it's where it starts and then you go off from there. So it's not. It's present though. It's always there. Yes.
I mean, I guess until it becomes a weird pyramid in the Dark World.
Yes.
But yeah, it's it's always on the map. It's a centrally located situation. You can kind of always see it in a way.
Yeah. I don't think, can you go, I'm trying to remember, and I apologize. I'm a terrible host of this show sometimes because the games often, especially the early games, kind of run into each other in my memory. You can go back to the castle, right, and go inside. It's just that nothing's really there. You can't really do anything within it.
I think so. I think there's just not a lot going on. Maybe those, do you know what it is? At least for the first 3 dungeons, because I did go back and poke around a little bit. And I think they're just kind of in that, like, the guards are mad at you mode. So anytime you go back in, they're still just kind of patrolling.
Gotcha.
It's really difficult in A Link to the Past to deal with the fact that I think you're, like, you're defeating good guys in the beginning, but, like, they're enchanted to be against you.
Ah, yes.
You know? But anyway.
Yep.
I don't go back to the castle much for that reason, because I don't want to have those people perish that don't deserve it.
Aww.
So I just push them over the edge and let them fall down the hole.
That's nice. But yes, so then it eventually is replaced with Ganon's Pyramid of Power.
Hey, welcome! Whoa! All the voices.
Game show.
Yeah.
So, first example of Ganon taking it over, like exactly
I wonder
what
if
you
the
said.
Pyramid is supposed to evoke like the triangle thing a little bit, like the Triforce.
I could see that.
Yeah.
It makes sense. But then... So once Aghanim sends Link off to the Dark World, you basically can't go into the castle at that point, is what I'm seeing and remembering.
You can't go into the pyramid.
Right.
For a long time.
Yes.
If ever. I'm having a hard time remembering.
It says inaccessible for the rest of the game.
Okay,
so that's, yeah. And then we move on.
Yeah. Because
there's not too much to do there.
This style of castle kind of shows up in a couple of the games too. Correct. This like centrally located classic castle. Yep. And I'm sure we'll get there.
And eventually becomes, as we'll talk about, more and more like explorable and more...
Let's talk about the castle in Link's Awakening. Oh, wait. There's Candlelit Castle, but of course there is now no Hyrule Castle.
No Hyrule Castle, no Hyrule. We're not in Hyrule. We're somewhere else.
So really we go to Ocarina of Time then, I think, if we're doing release order.
Yep. Exactly. So this one, obviously, I remember very clearly.
Oh, I was just in Hyrule Castle yesterday for Switch Online or Ocarina, and it was, even though fine, blah, 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 it doesn't render things perfect, it was so nice to be back there. It was great because it runs in a slightly higher resolution. And so, I was like evading the guards and everything looked crystal clear. And it was really fun to, it'd been a while since I think maybe since our Ocarina of Time episode that I hadn't really been there. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah. So this one is, and we'll talk about Castle Town later, but that's obviously the first part of the castle, quote unquote, so to speak, that you come across. And then it's cool because then you go back outside. So after Castletown, you go back out, and then you have to actually go to the... It just feels so large, which is cool. Like, Hyrule Field and Ocarina of Time feels huge for what it was. Yep. Then you get to the Castletown. You have to do the drawbridge, and you're like, ooh, this is cool. And drawbridge goes up at night, so you're like, ooh, now I can't get in. I have to go at a certain time of day. Then you go outside again. Then you go to the castle. So I just like the whole journey to actually get to this place.
Yeah, it was stunning and magical. The first, 1990, whatever it was, 4 or 5 or 6.
Yeah.
The first time you're coming out of Castle, you're exploring Castletown, and then you basically go towards the castle, and there's this whole other little field in front of it, and you're figuring out how to get around the guards and all that kind of stuff. It feels enormous. But otherwise, we never actually go in the castle per se.
Right. So you go to after sneaking past all the guards, you go to the courtyard area, which is obviously where you meet Zelda in that game. And you do look in through the window where you can see Ganon within.
So you see
the
like
castle.
a hallway.
Right. But you don't actually go inside until Ganon takes it over.
Right. And at that point, it's so morphed into something else that I don't even know if it's considered Hyrule Castle. It's like, oh, wait, you know what? You definitely are in it in a more, well, I guess when you're kind of climbing up and you're fighting all the Dark Knots and stuff like that, that feels kind of castle-y.
Oh, yeah,
towards the
for
end.
sure. It's just, it's like semantics at that point. Is that Hyrule Castle? Is it Ganon's castle? I would still count it as Hyrule Castle because it's...
Even if he possessed it and took it over, its origin is Hyrule Castle. Okay, I'm into this.
Although, does the castle ever get destroyed?
Yeah, it falls apart at the end.
Yeah, that's right. The castle, okay. So what I'm reading online is like technically Ganon's castle is a different one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you've seen it right now?
Yeah. I think we could still include it though as like an honorable mention because it's in the place that Hyrule Castle was and it's still...
I'm okay with that. I do think, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, Ganon's castle, if you look at it, it doesn't have the same, I guess, geometry or architecture.
Right.
The same pillars in the same spots. So it's not like, in Breath of the Wild, there's Dark Malice on stuff, but it's basically the normal thing.
Right. This one is different.
And I think also that could be supported, Kate, with the whole floating island over the lava thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's almost as if Hyrule Castle was like Terminator blipped out of there, and then like the Terminator blipped in the Ganon Castle or something,
Yeah. Well, I kind of like Ganon's castle. I just think
you're so
cool.
emo.
I know. I am so emo. Let's not get into that.
Castle's way better.
I mean, it's super dark, but I like it because I like the Ganon's theme that's playing on the organ the whole time. It's very cool and very dissonant and feels completely appropriate for what you're doing. I like the kind of I can't think of the word I'm thinking of, but like the
Rainbow Bridge. It's the Rainbow Bridge, isn't it?
I do love the Rainbow Bridge, but the way that you have to, the gauntlet, I guess, is what it is of like going through the different levels, like what you're talking about, like running up the stairs and then fighting these, and then running up the stairs and then fighting those, and then running up and you have to kind of go through all these I
kind of like that part too.
Various baddies. I like that as long as it's actually doable, unlike Skyward Sword, but we'll leave that alone. That gauntlet.
You're not there yet.
No. But anyway, and then I like, for whatever reason, I always really liked the way that Link's footsteps sounded on the carpet and how it was different.
It's
from
real.
Like
it sounds like you can feel. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you can hear like the
noise. I know. And when I was a kid, I was like, oh my gosh, it sounds like he's really running on carpet right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then
which is better than the grass noise, which is
yes, exactly. Yes. But I also like the tippy toe, like tip 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 of like on the rocks and whatever. But anyway, I always like the carpet noise because that's the only time you have a carpet, I think. So I was, for whatever reason, really impressed by that.
That's right. There really isn't a carpet anywhere else. There was a sound designer once that said that they spend most of their time dealing with footsteps because it's actually what you hear the most in a game.
Sure.
When your character's running around.
Absolutely. And then I like the big windows and the golden lights coming in when you're approaching.
Oh, when you're going up that spiral staircase, it is so cool.
It is so cool. So maybe I like Ganon's castle more. I don't know. What do you think, Edie? My dog is coming to visit me right now.
Yeah, Hyrule Castle's kind of low key in Ocarina of Time. I just realized.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, you really don't go inside.
I guess if the garden area is so large, because you take that, you're sneaking around the castle to go find Zelda in the courtyard. If we assume, I guess it evokes that the castle's enormous, even if we never go inside.
Right.
So they definitely did their job there. The designers, when they had to make, what would it have been better? I'm genuinely asking, would it have been better to create a bit like A Link to the Past, where they build all these rooms and the throne rooms, or for the sake of what they needed to do, they could make the castle feel a lot bigger and just build the part they need and just do the garden part. But it does give you scale. Like when you're in the garden part, and I was just there the other day as I was saying, this is why it's on my mind. Like it feels like you're around an enormous building.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it would have felt bigger if you just went into a room like the Temple of Time or something.
I wonder if they specifically wanted to wait for that moment until the end when it's big and evil and scary. And they're like, no, let's not let them in just yet. Let's let them like really experience this for the first time when it's like,
I think that's a good point.
whoa, at the end of the game when you're feeling like the bigness of the moment, you know?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Cool. Hyrule Castle. So then, does Hyrule Castle ever come back in Ocarina of Time? I don't know if it does.
I think just,
It's more that you travel back in time.
Right.
So there's one timeline where that castle's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But is that the timeline that Wind Waker exists in?
I mean,
I don't have the Hyrule Historia. You do, but
yeah, it's not gone, but it's at the bottom of the sea, which we'll get
that
to
might be
in a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's true. Maybe I'm jumping ahead. Sorry. Anyways,
Yeah, so technically next is Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages. What I had.
yeah, I can't speak to Hyrule Castles in Oracle of Ages or Seasons because I have not completed either.
Well, you're not going to see very much of it.
I actually think there isn't a Hyrule Castle, maybe right at the end, because in Oracle of Ages, which I got very close to the end, back in like 2001, whenever it came out, there's a big tower that's being built. But Seasons, and this is one of my games of shame, like I've only played, the first third of Seasons.
Games of shame. I haven't played either, so
Yeah.
I'm more shameful than you. So it appears in the intro of the game.
That's true.
So-
well, is it Hyrule Castle though? I think it's a different game.
From what I'm looking at,
Yeah.
it is Hyrule Castle. It's in like a forested valley, and Link is going there. He does enter it, and it houses the Triforce.
You're right.
But then he leaves.
Well, he gets teleported.
Yeah.
That's what happens. He goes, oh my gosh, you're right. I always assumed that cutscene on both of the games was him like arriving at a building and he said, I'm going to stay here. But it cuts to like an in-game cutscene, I guess you could say. And he walks up and he touches the Triforce and he gets zapped out to, Subrosia or wherever he's going.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough.
So he gets right out of there. It's kind of understood that the castle is where Zelda and the family live.
I see it here in the encyclopedia. It says Oracle of Season and Ages games. Hyrule Castle appears in the opening of both Oracle Season and Ages. Link enters the castle. Oh, maybe this is what you were reading. But in both adventures, completed Princess Zelda will be seen on the terrace during the ending. So they just exist as sprites, artwork.
Yep, just in the beginning, in the end, do not get to explore the castle at all. Doesn't play a big part. It's not like the big end location or anything like that.
Right.
So, yeah, it's just kind of there.
Oracle of Ages' big structure is that tower, the Tower of Time or whatever it is. And then in Oracle of Seasons, there's like this, I'll just say Tower of Seasons. But it's kind of like a 4-tiered tower, and you go to the different tiers to get the different season powers. But anyway.
Cool. Do you want to do Wind Waker and then like go for break?
Yeah, sure. That sounds good.
Okay. So next up, Wind Waker. I do love this one. So obviously this is at the bottom of the sea. So you're not going to you may not even expect to see the castle at all when you're starting / playing this game. You're like, okay, this is an ocean. Okay. Maybe I'll come across it on an island, but you don't.
I was legitimately surprised the first time I played.
Yes, same. I have a clear memory of playing this for the first time and being like, whoa.
And there's for some, at least it happened for me, there's that moment where you kind of don't really put it together that it's the Hyrule Castle from, you could say, Ocarina of Time. Because when you first get in there, it's frozen and it's gray, and then you start realizing what's going on, and then you're like, oh, this is really great.
Yeah. I mean,
so in that way, we're finally inside the castle that we were never in the other game. But anyway.
That's true. No, you're right. And I think that was really cool stylistic choice is to make it gray, grayscale when you first go in there, because you're like, realizing / are being told that this was it's frozen in time, and so eventually, obviously, it comes to life. And I also really liked this part, although I've talked about I hate when games start and you immediately have to like go kill everything when you're very first just starting a game. I don't like being put in the action like all of a sudden like that.
Okay.
that's what happens in this, I think, in this part of the game. Once it kind of comes back to life, all of a sudden there are baddies everywhere.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, you see them as like frozen statues.
Yes.
And that freaks you out?
Well, I mean, like once they actually come to life, because then they're everywhere.
There's a legit adrenaline rush once that happens. There's almost like I remember it feeling like I've released the zombie horde or something.
Yes.
It feels like because you walk around and you see all the statues and they're spooky, but you're like, okay, they're statues. You're suspecting they might come to life, but you actually go down into the basement, if I remember correctly,
Yes.
and that's what then everything's activated as you come back up, and you're like, oh no, I've buried myself deep.
But before we get to that point, like you said,
sorry.
you go back down to the basement, and I love all the stained glass windows. I like spent so much time just standing and like, you know, pressing the camera button and just looking at them. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, I know who that is. Oh, I recognize that because it's all the.
It's the sages, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
from Ocarina of Time.
Yes, exactly. So I was like, little callback. Oh,
I was
know
very
this.
excited. I was very, callbacks are all over the place in our current culture and time, but back in the early 2000s to have the characters from like another game you loved be represented in this game and to have it be, I guess, canonically accurate was really kind of moving. It was really neat to see.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool. And then yes, you go back up and you're like, oh no. And some of those enemies are tough.
Yeah.
Like to beat. Like I remember being legitimately challenged the first time I played this game, like trying to get past that part.
Aren't you trying to knock a bunch of armor off? For some of them, it's like the
Yes.
Dark Nuts and
Yep.
stuff. If that's what they're called in that game.
Right, but that's the type of enemy. Yep, exactly. And so those I actually really like that enemy because of the kind of unique way you have to fight them and you chip away at their armor and everything. But also because they are tough and they're a challenge. Like, so I loved that part of this game. And then unfortunately, Tetra ends up just hiding there. We've talked about this during our Wind Waker review episode where she's just like, okay, bye.
I think we joked about how even she's kind of like, I guess I'm staying here.
I know. She's like,
you can see it in her face.
Yeah.
I'm a great adventurer. Well, now I'm a princess, and I guess I got to do what princesses do and stay in this gem.
Ugh. I hate it. Don't get me started again because I already, complained about that last time. But I mean, I guess it's a pretty cool place to hang out once all the terrible enemies are dead. It's a nice place. I would just spend time looking at the windows.
Yeah.
Read a book, I guess.
I realized too that the windows. Oh, maybe she doesn't go in a gem. Maybe she does just stay there, huh? You can go up and talk to her. But I realized that if we're thinking about the lore a little bit, those stained glass windows would have been built after the events of Ocarina of Time, perhaps in the Child Timeline or who knows when, because they're honoring what happened in Ocarina of Time. So we're seeing a part of the castle that didn't even exist during Ocarina of Time,
right,
but a new area that was built. So you're seeing some, not an age, but you're seeing the story, really. You're seeing a story in the building even.
Some renovations being done.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah, they are dark nuts, by the way.
Okay.
In that one. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, great. Ooh, you're good with the Google.
I'm so good with the Google. So I think that's about it for Wind Waker. I do wish there was more to be done in the castle. Like as cool
I wanted
as it
more
is,
too. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, I mean, as cool as it is, it would be nice to like go back or have it rise up. Like, I mean, the tower to get to. No, wait, that's
rises
different.
up. Yeah, no, you're right. It's like above it, and then you go down. It's
Right.
kind of the tower is kind of that game's water temple a little bit. You might remember it's where the water's going up and down.
Yes.
I wanted the castle to be a dungeon. I wanted it to be a whole thing. I would have spent plenty of time in there.
It's like a semi-dungeon. I mean, it's not a dungeon. It's like a gauntlet, like I said, kind of just to kill everything.
What was the expression we had in? Didn't we do like a non-dungeons dungeon episode? And we spent a lot of time talking about the non-dungeon dungeons in Ocarina of Time. Do you kind of remember that? I feel like this is one of those for Wind Waker.
Yes, for sure. Cool. Well, on that note, I think we will take a quick break before we get to the other Hyrule castles.
Great.
So we will be right back.
All the voices.
I know.
I love it.
Hey, Hey, this is TC.
And this is Jim from the Studio Demands It podcast,
Where every episode we take a demand from a hypothetical studio,
which could be you,
and challenge ourselves to conceptualize, pitch, and craft a film based on the stipulations
or the demands
we are given. We talk about movies all the time. Particularly, we complain about the choices made in the films we've seen.
We're nerds like that.
And, of course, like any good nerd does, we automatically assume that we could do better.
Even with the demands and restrictions that clearly must have been put on by a production.
So head on over to studiodemandsit.com and listen to our previous library of episodes. Our library of previous episodes. Our precious library, Jim. Our library of precious episodes.
You're a pirate, Smeagol.
Okay, so head on over to studiodemandsit.com to listen to our library of episodes.
And submit your demand for a future episode, too.
So go do that.
Okay, bye.
Okay, end of ad.
Jake, have you ever been looking for a definitive Nintendo ranking and can't seem to find it because it's just everybody's own opinion?
Honestly, all the time, Sam.
Well, I'm looking for someone to give us the answers.
Wait, you mean like a podcast made by two young, handsome men where they create a definitive top 5 list of all things Nintendo?
Should we just do it ourselves?
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Let's give it a shot. I'm Sam.
And I'm Jake.
And at Top 5 Nintendo, I'm going to give you my top 5 list.
And I'm going to give you my top 5 list.
And then we're going to duke it out and see what the real top 5 is.
Welcome back to another Zelda podcast. Thank you for sticking with us through that break. Here's Kate May and David Geisler, and we're talking about Hyrule Castles.
You are cracking me up this up. You are, I don't know, it's a lot. You're bringing a lot.
You know, I'm sure you remember I used to host trivia games way back in the day.
Wait a second. You told me that. Yeah. Was it an actual job?
Yeah. I mean,
think this was a long time ago.
Well, part-time gig, yeah, in addition to my normal gig. But yeah, so I hosted trivia games in bars, as you know, I'm sure many listeners that are of age have seen before. So I worked with a company that did that. So I did have to have game show voice.
Wow.
1 to 2 nights a week. So I have,
And it was similar to what you used to get us back into the show just now? Because, I mean, that was solid.
Yeah. Pretty much like, welcome to trivia night. Here are the rules, blah, blah, blah.
Well, now if we ever have a live Zelda quiz, we know who has to ask all the questions.
I would totally be down to host.
Wait, seriously?
That.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was afraid you'd say, no, Dave, I'm too nervous.
No, I will host. I don't think I'd like to play because I wouldn't want to make a fool of myself guessing wrong answers or not knowing anything. And then everyone will know my terrible secret, which is that I haven't played any of these games. Just kidding. But I will totally host because that way you're just in charge. I like being in charge.
Just in charge. I think you know a lot more about Zelda games than you realize. And actually, I think there's only a few that you haven't played. The Oracle games and, I don't know, you've played Minish Cap now, you played Link's Awakening, maybe Phantom Hour tracks. I've mixed them together.
Yeah, well,
Phantom Hourglass and the Spirit tracks.
Both of those I have not played.
I have not played Spirit tracks yet. No. I own it now. I've actually have 2 copies. I'd be happy to give you one. Oh, do you need a 2DS or 3DS or anything?
Oh yeah, I don't have.
It's okay. We'll figure it out.
Back to Hyrule Castles.
There it is.
So the next one, we just finished talking about the Wind Waker. So next iteration I have is Four Swords Adventure.
I was wondering if you were going to go there. Yeah,
well,
cool.
I have not played this one, so I can't really speak.
Not many people have played this. Sorry, I'm interrupting you a lot.
It's okay. I mean, you're going to get comments. You are going to get review comments. David, stop interrupting.
Noted.
You're excited. I get it. We're excited to talk about this. Interruptions happen. This is like a conversation. Obviously, this isn't scripted other than what I'm reading from my laptop in terms of the information that I've gathered, but it's a conversation and interruptions happen.
I support it.
It is what it is. Now you're going to be self-conscious.
I know. Now I'm like really trying to hold back.
It's okay. I don't mind.
Great.
So Four Swords Adventures. Is the Hyrule Castle in this one is the entrance to the Four Sword Sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously Hyrule Castle is often where a sword of some kind, usually Master Sword, is housed.
I remember this to be an entire level. So the thing about Four Swords Adventures is that it's not open world per se. You actually move your little characters along a map of like dotted, almost like a Mario Brothers 3 style map or a new Mario Brothers. There's little dots along the way, and then you kind of play levels.
Okay. I was going to ask about that because something that I read was it appears as the third and final stage of the first level. And when I saw the word level, I was like, say what?
Yeah, and I think they did it. I think they made this choice because it is a multiplayer game that you will play with 4 people if you can. And so it's not that it's a party game. It's a serious game, but there are, so I'm guessing, right? I'm making a sentence up as I go here, but if I am playing a Zelda game and I want to commit 2 hours to some dungeon or walking around some overworld, cool. But is it conceivable that I can also then convince 3 other people to just meander around the overworld with me? Like, you got to keep people together. So I think the way they do that in Four Swords Adventures is by giving people little rest stops. Basically, it's like you're going to go into this land. Imagine the Lost Woods in Ocarina of Time. When you go in, fine. Then there's going to be a beginning and end, a middle and an end to being in there. And the 4 of you are going to go on this adventure together.
Okay.
And you can go back in. And while you're in there, it's a really large level that maybe it's Super Mario Odyssey style, where there are these enormous levels, but it's not. You see where I'm going with this? And I think they did it because of the multiplayer thing.
Okay. I don't have that many friends, so I wouldn't be able to play.
I played this organically. I spoke to this a few episodes ago. I played it organically with 3 other people, and it was a long time ago. I haven't been able to find Four Swords Adventures since.
Or friends.
That's true.
So, okay, that makes more sense in terms of the levels. So,
the castle, it's like the geography, to my memory, isn't as consistent as maybe a castle that exists in maybe one of these open world style games where you can kind of walk around river. It definitely feels like a level.
Okay.
That's all I can really remember from it. Honestly, it's been a while.
Fair enough. So this is another one where, an evil influence takes control of the guards. So that's a common theme. So another one that happens here for that one.
Four Swords Adventures does kind of honor some of the A Link to the Past tropes, like the guards. So that makes sense.
Gotcha. And then it makes another appearance, third and final stage of Near the Fields, apparently. So it's in a couple levels, which I think you said.
All right. Yeah.
So that is, it says the stage is set at night, and the environment.
We might not have gotten that far.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I can't remember. I think we did like a solid 3 or 4. Basically, we played for 2 or 3 nights, but everyone has to get together with their Game Boys and their cords and their Game Cubes. You know what I mean?
Oh
and you got to have the time for that.
Right. And friends.
And you got to have the friends.
And keep thinking about how I don't have friends. Anyway, so that one is set at night, and it says the environment is similar to Forsaken Fortress, where Lynx must evade searchlights. So it's similar in that regard.
Oh.
To prevent from getting caught and thrown into prison, which is always my least favorite Zelda trope, is the getting caught and thrown into prison.
Start over kind of thing.
Yeah, I hate the start over kind of thing. So at the end of the level, the Lynx fight the Big Poe, and then the castle is done.
Returns.
Yeah.
Okay. The evading the spotlights, unless it appears a few other places in that game, that I'm recalling that actually vaguely. But anyway.
So I will have to get to that one once I have, again, some friends.
We're going to track this thing down, and we're going to have maybe this is one of our roundtable episodes.
Oh, perfect. There you go. Done. So we can move on.
I think it's Minish Cap.
Minish Cap.
Yeah.
You got it. So I do remember this one, more so like the town again.
It's true.
That was where you came back to a million times. But Minish Cap itself, that is where the elemental sanctuary is that links Hyrule to the Minish realm. So basically he has to go back to the castle over and over every time he gets one of the 4 elements to upgrade the sword in the sanctuary. So it's some place that you have to come back to over and over. And then there's the castle garden as well. That kind of corresponds with castle town surrounding area, but another similarity to Ocarina of Time, for example. So there's a garden courtyard.
Yeah. I think you're back outside. Yeah, in the middle. You go into the castle and then you go out of the castle.
Right.
What happens in that courtyard? Something happens. Is that where you get your 4 sword features?
So it's the award ceremony for the tournament champion.
Oh, and that's where, was it,
Vati.
who was the bad guy? Vati? Yeah.
Yep.
Is that where Vati comes in and makes a mess? Got it. All right.
I'm
remembering. I do enjoy that game, but I haven't played it since we did it for review.
I know, same. When I was reading about, this, and it's all coming back.
Mm-hmm.
It's all coming back to me now.
Mm-hmm.
As Celine Dion says.
Every nights they were so cold.
Including the one in Four Swords Adventures. The night,
What?
The
That's
night
a
that was
stretch.
so cold that because you're
Because you're in a
escaping
castle
the
that's cold.
searchlights at night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oof, boy.
Let's move on.
Oof, boof.
Anyway, I do remember you can't do very much in the castle at first. So you can only go in like a few different rooms, basically. Throne room, a bedroom, some hallways. That's it.
Yeah. It's kind of a circle, I think. Yeah.
Yep. So not too much to do. This is another one where you're stealth sneaking past guards.
I do
So
remember that.
another common thing.
And I also remember that, maybe it's just because it's a 2D castle, but this one felt a lot like it was also still kind of referencing the A Link to the Past castle a little bit for me. I don't know if it was like that for you too, but
I just remember
it's in the middle and,
yeah.
and you go around it and, all
and
that
it
kind of
doesn't
stuff.
seem like that big, like that impressive. I don't
Oh, that's
feel like I
interesting. You
don't
might be
remember
right.
it being like, it was just kind of cute little castle.
Well, and that's a good point, because in A Link to the Past, there's multiple floors and stuff, and it does feel bigger in A Link to the Past. You enter the main room and you think that's the throne room, and you got to keep going, and the throne room's in the back, all that kind of stuff. It is actually pretty big, but I guess that's canonically correct because Minish Cap was the second game in the timeline, and you might remember like Castle Town. Hyrule, it was like called Hyrule Town or something, Hyrule Village. It was even the market and all of that wasn't Hyrule Town. I think it was the Hyrule Village. It's hard for me to remember at this point. But so the castle would be smaller, perhaps.
Yeah.
If this is the same Hyrule, which I think it is.
Although once you get to, so eventually it turns into Dark Hyrule Castle.
That's right.
So at this point, the king is locked away, princess is stolen away, and then it becomes Dark Hyrule Castle, at which point it does become a larger
I think you start going vertical.
level.
Yeah.
So then it gets bigger.
You get up into the clouds a little, even maybe.
So it's kind of weirdly similar to Ocarina of Time, just what we were talking about.
Right.
How it's like, although this one you can go inside at first, but it's just kind of like, oh, okay, well, it's a castle, big deal. Like, I can't do very much. But at the end, that's where it becomes like the big final dungeon where like the dark version, oh my gosh, I like the dark versions better. Because we're going to talk about that for Twilight Princess too.
Wow. I mean, that's okay. Just check yourself.
I'm just, it's just my emo side coming out. What can I say? But anywho, that is where you're going to confront Vati and defeat him, hopefully. Unless you're like me and suck at final bosses. But so yeah. So that one is where, again, it's kind of there all the time, but then it doesn't really become truly involved until the very end.
Yeah.
Now we get to Twilight
We're doing
Princess.
Twilight Princess. I mean, I loved that it was in the rain. Just quick like thoughts. I know we're not really diving in yet, but I remember it being super atmospheric. I remember feeling wet while I was running around as Link, meaning like I was really excited. But I think a lot of it happens kind of outside in the gardens again.
Yeah, or on the rooftops, when
you're right.
when you're at the wolf,
Yeah.
Wolf Link, and you're running around. I really liked that you could really, truly like go all over the castle in that regard. Like you could run around the rooftops, which is not something that you could do previously. It also seemed so much larger for that reason. Like this seemed like a huge location to me.
Yes, it did. And also that castle is represented as huge from the Castletown point of view. You know what I mean? Just to go back to Ocarina, just because I was doing this castle stuff the other day, when you actually push the C up button and look up at the castle, it's not much in Ocarina of Time. There's really kind of two towers.
Right.
Like, you remember that original Zelda themed Smash Brothers episode from the original Nintendo 64? And you're kind of jumping around the Hyrule level. That's kind of the castle.
Yeah.
When I looked up at it, I was like, whoa, this thing's not that big. It's like one pillar, maybe two pillars. And in Twilight Princess, they really helped it feel really big. They had all the, I don't know if they're called soffits or what, but they had like the water, they had the extra support structures coming down on the edges. It was super gothic and stuff. And that was amazing.
And so, unsurprisingly, my favorite.
I mean, it might be mine too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because there are just so many things that you could do here. I mean, you're obviously in the prisons of it at one point, trying to escape as Wolf Link. You're trying to get out of there. Then you're running around the roofs. There's a graveyard there. The sewers, kind of related to the dungeons, the prisons that I just talked about. So there's so many things to do here, and I love the look of it. I love the style of it. I love the style of the whole game, so that's not surprising.
Yeah.
I just think it's such a cool place. So I thought it was, the description of it in the encyclopedia was cool. It says, inside Hyrule Castle in Twilight Princess, armor and shields given air and authority, while beautiful paintings stretch to the ceiling.
I would agree. Yeah.
It's so cool. I love it. It's like the first game that really allows you to explore almost all of the areas of it.
Yes.
Huge layout. It's also the location of the final dungeon and the boss again.
You're right.
So
you're fighting inside Hyrule in like one of the halls, like the Great Hall or something, when he's doing the pig gan and stuff.
Yep.
That's right. I kind of forgot about that.
Yep.
Ooh, I want to play Twilight Princess again.
Oh, God. Tell me about it. Every time we talk about it, I want to play it again. So eventually you fight in Hyrule Field, but you start with that final boss battle, but you start it in the castle.
Absolutely.
And it's just, that's where you find Zelda. Oh, I can't say enough about it. It's my favorite.
Oh, that's right. There's the evil Zelda part and all that. Yeah.
I love it so much.
Cool. Well, you're just in reminiscing mode right now. I can see it in your face. You're there.
I'm just thinking about it. I want to play it again. But anywho, we can move on to Spirit Tracks.
Okay. Interesting. I was wondering. And now Spirit Tracks is one of the, I feel like we need Andy Barney on this. That was his first Zelda game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Isn't that a crazy one to start with?
Interesting. Because I feel like that's, we just recorded our episode about the making of Link's Awakening before this. And I feel like that, from what I have like read about it and have heard about it, seems kind of reminiscent of Link's Awakening in that it's kind of a departure. I mean, it's
story-wise, it's coming off of Phantom Hourglass canonically, and having never even booted up Spirit Tracks yet. Like, I think I loaded, the opening scene once, maybe on my Wii U Virtual Console, but I kind of I know that I guess I'm saying, I know I want it to be special, so I haven't half played any of it yet. I literally have never even gone into Spirit Tracks. I watched a Let's Play once a while back.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh, that's how you control the train. You pull a little rope for whistle and stuff like that. But the way I understand it is, so Phantom Hourglass, and we're having another appearance by Milo here.
Milo cameo.
Phantom Hourglass takes place, is the Wind Waker sequel. They go out in the ocean, and most of Phantom Hourglass is just kind of disparate little islands, a bit like Wind Waker, but even more disparate.
Okay.
And the end of that game ends with them saying, okay, I guess we're done here. Meaning after Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass, Hyrule is really, really flooded and there may not be much left. Let's go find a new Hyrule. Kind of like Waterworld. Let's go find dry land or whatever it is. And they do, and that's where Spirit Tracks takes place.
That is true.
How there are trains, I don't know.
I don't know either. I did read though that yes. So basically, one of the notes that I had that I was reading about was no one's really sure if these are distinct castles, like if they're truly all distinct and different, or if they're modified versions of the same structure. All we know is that apart from Spirit Tracks, they're all located in Hyrule. So I mean, in that sense, they're maybe the same one, but Spirit Tracks Hyrule Castle is definitely not the same because it's
definitely not the same
Hyrule.
Physical building.
Right.
Yeah, and it's I don't know, but it's called New Hyrule, so maybe now it is Hyrule. All of that.
Who knows? But so this is where Link has to go basically to receive his train engineer's certificate. Which, when I read that sentence, I was like, okay, this is weird. From Princess Zelda, and become a royal engineer. Sure, fine, makes sense. So the throne room actually has a stained glass window of Tetra, so borrowing from Wind Waker. I'm sorry to spoil this for you, David, but here we are.
Well, as Princess Zelda's in Phantom Hourglass a lot. She even becomes a phantom, and that's technically
Spoiler. Oh my gosh.
Tetra, though, right? So I guess Tetra's kind of in there, but even a picture of her is cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, similar to Wind Waker there, I like the stained glass window motif.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, so there's similar to other games, there's not much to do there at that point in time from what I understand, but eventually you are able to kind of wander around. You can like blend in with the castle guards and just kind of like explore from what it sounds like. So I like any game where you can eventually kind of explore the castle itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can kind of. Oh, you need a uniform to be able to do that. So
A conductor's uniform?
a recruit uniform, apparently.
Interesting.
Yeah. Which makes you.
I'm
able
looking forward to
explore.
playing Spirit Checks. There'll be a time in a day.
I like a different game. We were talking during the Link's Awakening one. I liked that game was different and a departure from the normal, kind of thing. So I'm open to it. I don't understand the train thing, but that doesn't mean I don't want to play the game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it takes the same amount of, even so. I remember even in Skyward Sword, when Skyward Sword was first announced, I thought, we're on birds now. You know what I mean? But they make it make sense, and there it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna guess that the train thing allows the game to feel bigger than it is from a development point of view. So if Link travels from town to town, but he does it via train, imagine Wind Waker, but you can't pick where you go. From a development point of view,
Gotcha.
that probably allows them to make, they only have to make so many graphics. I'm just being honest. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They only have to design the stuff around where the train is.
Right.
And then you can put a little
it can
picture
go.
of a castle in the background, and then it actually loads when you get near.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like open world on rails. Oh, on rails. But yeah. But that's what I mean. I think that's why that has happened.
Okay.
And I'm sure it's interesting. I'm sure there are reasons why it's interesting, truly.
Absolutely. We'll see. We'll see when we get there.
We'll find out. Maybe we'll find out together.
Yeah, for sure. So next we have a Link.
Yeah, I think we have 2 left.
Yes. There's
Link
like an
Between-
honorable mention, but yes, basically,
do it.
yes, we have 2 left. So we have A Link Between Worlds.
Uh-huh.
So where Princess Zelda lives, shockingly enough.
Mm-hmm.
Impa is there as well. Soldiers are guarding the area, as always. So this one I have not.
No, you have not played A Link
No.
Between Worlds yet because it's a 3DS game, but I have
Yes.
started it.
Okay.
And I actually started it since we started this show. I bought it, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, and I started playing it about a year ago on car trips. So I'm like 4 dungeons in right now.
Okay.
And then I did put it down to play some other Zelda games, but it is very much like the castle from A Link to the Past, and it's supposed to be.
Okay.
A Link Between Worlds is obviously it's kind of a spiritual sequel, if not an actual sequel, and so basically it feels exactly like the castle in A Link to the Past.
Okay. Cool.
I do know there's like a dark version of that castle later on when you go into Hyrule, which I have not yet. I don't think I have yet.
Gotcha. Okay.
Oh, I think I have. Yeah, because you actually get to Hyrule pretty quickly because you get flat and then you go into these little teleport zones that bring you to the other area, but the other part of the world. Though I don't think I've been in the castle in Hyrule yet.
Okay. So from what I have read and understand, it's a place that you do need to come back to several times, similar to Minish Cap, where you kind of need to go back over and over again. So he has to go there to search for the captain to return his sword. He has to go there again to warn Zelda of Yuga, the main
Yep, that's
enemy
right.
in that one. And then it's where he receives the Pendant of Courage from Zelda. And then he has to like go back again and break the seal around the castle that Yuga has created with the Master Sword. And then
Yeah, maybe I'm playing A Link Between Worlds wrong.
I mean, this is what I'm reading. And then basically the castle is a dungeon once again at the end of the game. So then at the top, that is where Link must fight Yuga. And then etc. So, or maybe that's not at the end of the game because then it says they go to Hyrule after that. So maybe that's like midway through.
Yuga might be the agonym of that game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't.
So-
I think I have fought Yuga. Oh wait, I think I have. And then wait, well, there's kind of like an early battle where Yuga then gives you your turn into a picture ability. I mean, what's weirder, turning into pictures on walls or driving a train?
Hard to say. Hard to say. Also, I apologize. Our listeners will probably be like screaming at their phones or cars right now, just listening to us talk about this game that we have not fully played. And
I'm really enjoying it so far. And what I can say is that it 100% uses the 3D part of the 3DS in the right way.
oh, cool.
Yeah, not a gimmick. Very cool. Very real. Or I mean, I'm sure they designed it that way on purpose for the 3DS, but it is one of the few 3DS games that is better in 3D than not. You know, so some of the 3DS games, it's like, cool, it's in 3D, but I can also play it flat. You know, like Ocarina of Time 3D is super cool to see the cutscenes in 3D. But the truth is, sometimes you can just put it to 2D and you're okay.
Fine.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And then I think we're Breath of the Wild.
We are Breath of the Wild.
Let's do it.
Oh, I love Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild Castle it goes without, it is stellar. It is amazing. You can spend hours in there.
Yeah, so it was hard for me to say if this one was my favorite or Twilight Princess was my favorite, but it all comes down to I like to explore it. So I've had this thing, and I may have talked about this before, whenever there's a game where you're like exploring a house or a room or a big building, like there are a couple games on Switch where it's just like house exploration games, and it's
Gone Home is like that.
Yes, I love Gone Home.
I literally was just playing that the other day.
I love Gone Home.
I'm just getting started. I like it so far. I'm still in the mystery.
Yes, there's another one that's like What Became of Edith Finch, which is similar to that.
I've heard of that.
Also very good. I love house exploration games. I think it's because I also have an obsession with production design and like how homes and locations are designed in TV shows and movies.
Mm-hmm.
So for that reason, I love exploring these types of areas in video games. And Breath of the Wild is just like giving it all to me.
They are, yeah.
You can go through all these rooms and explore everything and get your treasures and get your shields
But everything in Highlight Castle, everything in Hyrule Castle in Breath of the Wild feels it makes sense. Like the library feels like it's been used.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's talk about the Ocarina of Time Castle again real quick. And when you're avoiding the guards to go to the courtyard,
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of looking at that courtyard the other day and I thought there is one way in and out of this, and it's the crazy path I just took.
Right.
There aren't any doors or anything. It doesn't, it evokes something that's real, but it doesn't at the end of the day, actually, if you really start dissecting, it doesn't feel real.
Right.
And Breath of the Wild, every book on every shelf and every apple on the table and the cracks and the things that are broken and the chairs on the ground, you can, with your imagination, rebuild all of that and see how that was. You can imagine that being a working, living place.
Absolutely. And that's why I think I like Twilight Princess's castle, because it kind of gets there.
Yeah.
And at least it was trying to get there. But with Breath of the Wild, they really went bananas. And I totally agree with what you said. And that's why it feels so cool to explore. You can access it whenever you want to. You're not like, and that's Breath of the Wild. That's how the game works. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want. But you can go there whenever. Something interesting that I learned, which I did not know, is that if you just go there like right away, let's say, and you just want to like beat the game, which some people try to do.
Yeah.
You have to fight all the Blight Ganons that you have not yet fought before you get to Calamity Ganon. And of course, I didn't know that because
I've always gone and fought the Blights.
Exactly.
You do?
Yes. So if you have ignored any of the Blight Ganons, you have to face them in succession before fighting Calamity Ganon.
I figured that by not fighting the Blights, it just means that their super lasers from the Divine Beast just didn't, because if you do all 4 Divine Beasts, they basically bring Ganon's health bar down to half by shooting their super strong lasers at him.
Right.
And I figured, well, if I only did 2 of the Divine Beasts or defeated 2 of the Blight Ganons, I guess his life only comes down a quarter. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But apparently there's more to it than that. I've never tried to fight Ganon without. So I'm in my second master mode of Breath of the Wild right now on the Switch. And I say second because I was doing master mode on the Wii U. Mm-hmm. I did the normal game on the Wii U, then I kind of did the master mode. And then I bought the Switch version just to have it for Switch. But I immediately jumped into master mode. Mm-hmm. And I'm only like 6 hours in. I just dip in here and there once in a while. Mm-hmm. I did go to Hyrule Castle right away to go get the Hylian Shield. And I jumped down into the catacombs and very carefully brought the right potions with me with not a lot of hearts or health. And you fight this awesome skeleton. And I always try to get the Hyrule Shield really early. Always. I've done it twice. But But I wonder, maybe I should try going to fight Ganon and just see what happens.
Do
I've
it.
Never tried.
Do it. So yeah, that's kind of where
Being in
games
Hyrule, being in Hyrule Castle in Breath of the Wild makes me want to see, like, if that castle were not run down and you could just walk around it
Yeah.
like it was Hogwarts or something, I'm in. I would just walk around and look around that castle.
Yeah. We'll see what Breath of the Wild 2 has for the castle and see if, any of that changes. If you maybe could somehow, through whatever story or means or whatever, be able to explore it. Like,
there was a little
fully
bit of rebuild. Hyrule Warriors rebuilt some of the castle for some of their levels from the outside and stuff like that, and some of the cutscenes. I don't know if that data is going to transfer over to Breath of the Wild 2 or not, but I'm just saying it's built. Some of it is built.
Something interesting, by the way, a little fun fact that I found in the encyclopedia has the castle being just over 42 meters tall. It's like 138-ish feet when you convert it. It's about 3/4 as tall as Cinderella Castle in the Magic Kingdom in Disney World.
In Disney World?
Yes, you can kind of think about that. So it's not like gigantic.
This is the Breath of the Wild castle?
This is just, it's a little diagram within the Zelda encyclopedia.
One of the castles. I see it too now.
Just kind of like a drawing that they had made where they provided like height measurements. So you can kind of think about it as like kind of Cinderella Castle-ish size. So still really cool, but not like overwhelmingly large. Now, of course, Breath of the Wild Castle seems like it's a lot bigger than that. So this may be like an earlier version is that size.
And that's tricky too, because Breath of the Wild Castle does feel bigger, much bigger, but also a lot of Hyrule Castle in Breath of the Wild is also the land that it's on. Mm-hmm. If you think about it, you kind of go in through those gates and there's a lot of area that has catacombs underneath, but may not actually be technically the castle, or it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, in that vein, in terms of areas surrounding the castle, let's just chat really briefly about Castle Town.
Let's do it.
Just because it is part of the castle, usually in a sense. So it's always there or often there. It's where, these festivals are had. It's where you meet the NPCs a lot of the time, where the people that live there can feel safe and protected. It always feels like a nice place to explore, except for Ocarina of Time.
And Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild, it's a disaster zone.
Yes. So apart from that, it's where people can, feel safe. They're being silly. You can maybe play some games there. I've always really enjoyed exploring Castletown from one game to another. I like going in each little building and seeing who I can talk to and seeing how it changes throughout a game. Like, for example, in Ocarina of Time, I think you try to get in one thing and it's like, this isn't open yet. And then you have to come back and then it's open at that point in time. Similar to, I don't know, Skyward Sword doesn't really have Hyrule Castle, but it has like its little bazaar where it's like, you can't go in here yet, but now there are people there. Kind of similar.
Yeah, the bazaar is the closest thing to a castle town in Skyward Sword. We've talked about this, how Skyward Sword kind of blends Hyrule Field, Castle Town, and Kokiri Forest all on Skyloft.
Right, exactly. But Twilight Princess, we've talked about that. Castle Town, I feel like you have a fondness for that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something cool that I read as a description of the Castle Town in Twilight Princess is that there are cracks in places in the darker corners, and cats gather in the back alleys, and there is an air of loneliness unique to larger cities that creeps in there. I thought that was a really cool.
Oh, it's the concept of the alley, huh? Like you have a big bustling city, but even here in Chicago, you could be walking right downtown, and if you take a left into an alley, it's maybe there's some loneliness there, right? Just 10 feet away, and the cats,
But yeah,
so I like that. Yeah, they brought that in.
I like how fleshed out Castletown is in Twilight Princess, particularly. There's a lot to explore there. Like, you could spend a lot of time just
I think so. And there's a lot of theater from a game making point of view. There's a lot of theater in Castletown in Twilight Princess. That's why I like it so much. Mm-hmm. There's a ton of NPCs that maybe you can't talk to, but at least they have a little bit of rudimentary AI, so they're walking around and they avoid each other and they avoid you, which just gives it a sense of having a crowd.
Yeah, it feels full. It feels busy. It feels realistic.
Yeah, full and busy. There's that hum. There's that hum of the city a little bit, which is why I like it so much.
Yeah.
Even towns in Breath of the Wild don't fully have that for me. They're awesome. They're more like towns. Well, I guess they're towns, not cities. That's Hyrule City.
Yeah.
Castle Town.
Castle City.
Oh no, it's Castle City. Oh shoot.
Oops.
Oops.
And I like the games that you can play there. So, for example, there's the shooting gallery in Ocarina of Time. There's the Bombchu bowling in Ocarina of Time. There's a treasure chest shop in Minish Cap. You like pick the chest that you want to open. It's like a game of chance where you pick the chest that you
which
want
is
to open.
kind of a harkening back to the game of chance that's in the original Legend of Zelda. There are a couple random caves where the guy's like pick a chest or whatever. You know? What I mean?
Yeah. And then there's the star game in Twilight Princess, which I'm not gonna lie, I did not really play that one. I feel like I tried it a couple times and it was really frustrating.
I think that's the one that's multicolored and you're in the cage and you're jumping around to try to get the gems, right?
Yep.
I also only played it a few times. It's something.
Yeah. And I'm like, no thanks.
I mean, it's fun. I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't that good at it, so I don't want to not like it if I wasn't good. But it is true that it didn't draw me back in.
Yeah, I do like that there are often animals roaming around, like cats in Twilight Princess, but dogs in Castletown and Ocarina of Time. At least at night,
You're
when
right.
they're all running around. You come at night and there's just puppies everywhere.
Yeah, that was mind blowing. The first time I went to Ocarina or Castletown in Ocarina at night, and there was like other life. I guess that was weirdly the dogs running around was a similar moment I had in Twilight Princess, where you're like, oh, there's some rudimentary AI, and it helps me feel like I'm really in something interesting.
Did you ever? So in Ocarina of Time, there's like. I thought there's like a task, like a side quest thing where you have to like return a dog to the lady. Did you ever do that? Because I feel like I never figured out which dog it was, and so I never completed it.
I definitely did it, and I did it the first time I played on the actual Nintendo 64 back in 1997 or whatever it was, and I've never been able to do it again.
Oh.
No, that's what I'm saying is I've never been able to do it again. Like I can't remember, but I do remember pulling it off.
I was like, I can't. No, I tried like a few times. I'm like, nope, this sucks. I'm not going to do it anymore.
Something how it barks, or there's something how it follows you, something like that.
Yeah.
Or if you hold a certain item, I can't remember, but I think it has a slightly different animation or something. But yeah, cool. Oof.
That's about it. I know that talk went quickly, but hey,
it kind of didn't. We talked for a while.
Yeah. Listeners, you should like comment. To shoot us an email or comment. Well, how does the internet work? Comment somewhere. Tell us what your favorite Hyrule Castle is.
They can. They could. The easiest way is they can leave comments on our YouTube video.
Do that.
A lot of people do that.
Yeah, do that.
You can just tweet us at Another Zelda Pod. We get a fair amount of that. We get a fair amount of that. You can DM us over on Instagram. We're Another Zelda Podcast.
Yeah, do that.
You can find us on Facebook, and I already said YouTube. By just searching Another Zelda Podcast, you can leave us a message there. We have a Discord channel going, but I will admit Celeste and Shane mostly keep the Discord channel going for us. I know, Dan Murphy jumps in there too from time to time, and I know there's a lot of conversations going on there, but admittedly, you and I are in there less right now.
Yeah. And then email us at anotherzelda@podcast.com. I'm kidding. Don't do that. That doesn't exist.
You can mail us at. I'm just joking. We just gave them your house address. So, anyways, yes, this is great. This is fun. Kate, I have no idea what the season 5 premiere episode will be. We've got some time to figure it out. Suspense for sure. But we finished off our tight little season 4 here.
Yeah.
12 episodes, and it feels good. It feels good to be at the end.
Happy season 4, David.
Happy season 4. Looking forward to season 5 for sure.
Well, we gave them the podcast info. Where can they find you?
Yeah, sure. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Raptor Paint.
And I am on the Instagram at I only take cat and dog pics. I used to be I only take cat pics, and then I got a dog. So
you better not get like a pet turtle or anything, because your name's just gonna get way too long.
It's gonna be unmanageable completely. So anyway, you can find me there. I'm there posting pictures of cats and dogs. Just my cat and my dog, not just random.
Wouldn't that be so much creepier if you're just walking up to rando dogs and cats and taking pictures, and you're like, well, it's on brand.
I'm not going to do that. Thank you for the idea. I'm not going to.
I don't know if I was technically pitching it.
On that note, thank you for the guidance for my Instagram account.
Yeah, I just have a couple notes. I was just noticing a few things. I thought maybe we could option a few things now.
This is over.
No, table it? All right, maybe we'll circle back on Tuesday.
No, we're not circling back. All right, so on that note, thank you for being here today.
Yes.
And having me be a guest on this episode. I appreciate it
Did you say
much.
a guest?
I'm a guest.
You weirdo. You're a host.
I mean, I'm a guest. I used to be. I'm a guest now.
Okay.
All right. I was another host today, and we will see you next time.
All right, Kate. I will see you then.
Okay. Bye.